Hello and welcome to another episode of Off-Road Hub. My name is Ken. Today I'm about 50 miles east of Phoenix, Arizona, up in the mountains in the Tonto National Forest. I'm going to be exploring the Sunflower OHV trail system today, doing the Sunflower Mine trail portion of it, which on this map is this circle right here. It's a nice little loop. It should have lots of nice obstacles. Should be a lot of fun. All right, after a couple miles of dirt road, we've reached the point where it becomes difficult. It recommends four-wheel drive, high clearance, and it even recommends lockers, so you know it's going to be good. It does say bridge closed in 5 miles, and the loop is 5.1 miles. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but hopefully there's a way around that closed bridge. Let's go find out. The difficult part of this trail begins when you descend into this valley. You can see the road ahead and where the road climbs back up out of this valley, only to later descend into more valleys and washes. This is a pretty good little shelf road with a pretty substantial drop off here. Pretty amazing canyon scenery. This type of terrain is very common on this trail, where it's washed out and it really flexes your suspension back and forth. This is it's pretty small stuff. It gets pretty crazy later on. This is probably the narrowest part of the trail where you're most likely to get some of that famous Arizona pinstriping. Pretty spectacular views up here. I've driven about 1.5 miles and I went down into that huge canyon, but over there I can actually see the road that I came in on, and it probably won't show up on camera, but I can actually see the yellow sign telling me about the bridge being out from here across the top of this canyon here. So just pretty amazing views. All these, there seem to be a bunch of roads on top of, just on ridgelines. Believe it or not, this is actually a really steep hill with really big rocks on it. I had some trouble with this one. I did some scouting around and saw that it was my rear differential that was getting hung up. So I backed all the way down, started over, and took a totally different line. Alright, I made it. There's actually a bypass for this one in case you're curious. Alright, so we started here and we've come up here on this loop and through this rough, the rough section started here. Now we're here and now we're gonna go down here and complete the loop. We're almost halfway through the roughest section according to the 5.1 mile sign at the where we descended the hill there, and hopefully, even though that bridge is out or closed, there's a way around it. A new warning: steep, rocky, and rough. And then people have written on these numbers, don't go, it's really, really, really bad. You will have to come back unless in a rock crawler. Just don't go. So, encouraging words. Right around here, the trail began an extremely steep and long descent into a very rocky wash. On the passenger side, that brush is blocking your view of a huge cliff right there. This is a really narrow part of the trail, and those rocks on the driver's side lifting up the driver's side makes this part pretty exciting. Well, that sign wasn't kidding about being steep. We've been going down for quite a while now, and it's probably hard to tell on camera, but this is really, really steep. And now there's some really big rocks. There's large, loose rocks on the whole descent, but these are the biggest rocks so far. This is the final drop down into the wash, or if you were running the trail in the other direction, you would go up this, climbing this, and the climb up to where I showed you those signs would be a pretty tough climb. Anyways, I took a right here instead of taking a left, so I accidentally explored a little side trail, but normally you would take a left from the direction I'm heading here to head down the wash. I found an old panel van out here. I don't know how it got out here. The road must have been a little smoother at one time. Pretty crazy. It's, as you can see, riddled with bullet holes. Because it's fun shooting vehicles. Obviously. And abandoned buildings, too. Alright, the side trail I ended up on ended at that van and turned into a hiking trail. So here we are back in the wash. The rocks in this wash got pretty big and went on for a long time. It actually took a lot of getting out and looking around and picking a line and then trying to stay on it to get through all this. It's a pretty intense wash. If you plan on doing this trail, I highly recommend you don't do it alone and bring a spotter along. Those things would be really helpful here. There are lots of different colored rocks here. It's actually really pretty. The trail leaves the wash for probably a few hundred yards, but it's not done with you yet. After all that, this section of road looks pretty smooth. That was the worst of the washed sections of this trail, just a little bit more at the very end to come. Wow, so I just pulled out of the wash. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get back into the wash, but man, that was a pretty rough section for sure. Really, the thing that's on my mind the most right now is whether or not that bridge is closed, and if that means I have to come back this way. That's got me thinking a little bit. This fork to the right leads up to this trail's namesake, the abandoned Sunflower Mercury Mine. The road leading down to the mine is very narrow and is really washed out in one spot. That spot is right here. It's definitely enough to make you a little nervous. Well, here's what's left of some of the Sunflower Mine. Looks like a giant trommel of some sort. There's big pipes that came down from there. And yeah, basically just ruins. I think they mined mercury here, but I could be wrong. But I might be right. I'll have to check that out. These are some really big gears. Massive. That's some heavy equipment for mining some heavy metal. Alright, at this point I am about 5 miles into that 5.1 miles before I got to the bridge that was out or closed. I wasn't really sure at this point, so I was excited and nervous to see what I would find. All right, I am on the bridge, and there are tire marks that go from one side to the other, I can see steel beams that are on concrete on this side and steel beams that are on this side. There's a sign under the bridge that says bridge out. It's just a short, tiny little bridge. So there's tire marks here. I would have to say that people are driving over this bridge, even though it's probably been declared unfit or something. So it's pretty sketchy, but I'm gonna cross this bridge. When crossing a questionable bridge, is it better to go fast or slow? I chose a little bit of speed. Well, I made it. I don't have to backtrack through all that trail, so that's good. I guess this bridge is unsafe, probably. I didn't know whether to go fast or go slow over it. That was probably the scariest part of the whole trail, to be honest. I mean, it looks sound, but somebody decided that it should be closed. I'm not the first person to drive over it, though, and I certainly didn't knock down all the signs and the barricades. Hopefully they fix this bridge, because without this bridge, it'd be hard to have this trail. That would really curtail the traffic on the trail, and that would be a shame. So, anyways, made it. I crossed the bridge, but I wasn't quite done yet. Just a little bit more wash rock crawling to do. Now, you could easily just do this trail in the other direction and find the bridge after 1 mile rather than 5 miles of difficult trail, but I didn't actually know that going into this trail. So, if you do this trail, you can do it in the other direction and see if the bridge is still there. Exiting the wash for the last time and into the sunlight. Map update. We started here. We went up here Difficult section started here, and now we're here. So just got to do this little section left, and I think it's going to be pretty simple. Probably just a gravel road, and then we'll get back to the camper and trailer right there. There seem to be some differing opinions about that bridge. Someone went to the trouble of painting over the closed part of the sign. So, yeah, I guess I'm not the first person to drive over it. But, yeah, I don't know. I wonder what the story is behind that. Well, thanks for coming along, guys. Made it back safely. The FJ's comfortably back on the trailer, ready to head to the next trail. Thanks for coming along. I hope you enjoyed it. That was a pretty awesome trail, really a pretty severe trail, but a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe so I can take you on a new adventure every Monday and Thursday, and we'll see you next time.